Well, I am so excited to finally do this conversation with you. We've been talking about it for a while, and I'm grateful to share you in this capacity with all the ladies in Essentially Woo. And later on, it's going to be shared even more broadly. But I want to get started by giving you the space to introduce yourself to the group. You know, who are you? What do you do? What's your mission in life? And then we'll just continue from there.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Shivani Gupta. I am a practitioner of Ayurveda. And so if you haven't heard of Ayurveda, it's a system of medicine and science from India that's over 5,000 years old. And so oftentimes when we have a health condition, we'll go to our MD or DO, or we'll reach into that umbrella of complementary and alternative medicine and go find an alternative solution between functional medicine, chiropractic, homeopathic, naturopathic. And then at the last door, people usually find Ayurveda and are like, wow, I wish I found you at the beginning because I would have changed my behavior from the beginning and maybe I wouldn't have ended up where I am. And so typically within Ayurveda, I work with clients on autoimmune conditions, gut health issues, inflammation, really like a constellation of symptoms, but they can't quite get diagnosed with something because they're not at the end stages where it's presenting as needing a medical.
Yeah.
And so I from that point and say, all right, let's back it all the way up into vibrant health, into feeling incredible, into getting you out of this state of health that you're in now.
Right.
I do two things. I am an Ayurvedic practitioner who works one-on-one with clients, and I have my 6-week program Fusionary method where I like to deep dive and detox and achieve everything we would do in the private consultations, but in group settings.
Yeah.
And I own a supplement company called Fusionary Formulas, and it's right up here above my. And so I had the honor of creating this nutraceutical company about 6 years ago. And so it's been incredible because my PhD dissertation was on turmeric, the spice, and I'm very with what turmeric can do for us for a prevention, from a preventive standpoint, and then from a active standpoint. So I built Fusionary to be in doctors' offices, and then I took it worldwide on my website as well. So we work with orthopedic, chiropractic, rheumatology, primary care to give those doctors a natural tool for pain so that they're not always giving opioids and drugs. And that's been incredible to see the power of it and what happens when you give someone a potent turmeric.
Yes.
And then I also get the honor of just sharing it with everybody and living style and feeling good. Like I take my own tea, I take my own formulas. I built the tea company because I'm obsessed with tea. So that's what I do. I get to teach and share health and inspire people to live healthy.
And you do. And you have inspired me. I remember the first time I saw you was you were live on stage at the Office Depot conference talking about turmeric. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she's doing an entire keynote around turmeric. And I just found it so like inspirational. And I have to say that I'm a big believer in what you do. In my family, autoimmune is a thing, whether it's RA, whether it's Hashimoto's, including myself. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's a few years ago. Luckily, through doing the work, I was able to clear it up on my own. But it is prevalent out there, right? And what we know and what you know more than anyone else is that it all starts in the gut, right? And it's almost like we have to reset our systems, our bodies, in order to then begin again from a new place, right? And take care of ourselves, especially as women. I'm learning that Hashimoto's in particular is like the woman's stress disease, right? So anyways, we can talk for hours just about your practice. I have to say that I love your products, and in particular, the sleep solution has changed my life, which I need to reorder it, by the way. So I'll be doing that this week because I can't sleep well without it. You know, it's amazing how you look for a product that really changes your system, and that your sleep solution has totally done that for me. So kudos to you.
My sleep has been off for a week, and March was sleep aware. I lectured many times on sleep, and whenever I travel, things get out of place. So I needed to start deep sleep tea. Finally, last night, I was like, I just need a perfect night's sleep just once. And I took deep sleep formula and I woke up as if like I slept like a rock.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this happy mood that I can have when I wake up. I forgot about this. And so
Yes.
speaking into, gut health, Hashimoto's, honestly, I think the majority of women have it, most of them subclinical. And
Yeah.
so women, I meet so many who are like, I'm tired. I don't know why I'm not motivated. I don't have energy. I have this consistent weight gain. I keep doing all the work to lose weight, but it's not working. I'm really suffering. But
Body
my,
aches. Yep.
yeah, here's the symptoms: gut health off, bloating, intolerance to certain foods all of a sudden.
Yes.
When you go to the doctor, your blood work shows nothing. Nothing. I'm a subclinical thyroid patient, so I know. And
Yes.
functional medicine, they were like, this is called subclinical. You have to support yourself through supplements and through other solutions. So I love
Yes.
and saying, let's fix this. Let's not
Yes.
app forever.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
I'll mention this at the end. I'll give you time to share where everyone can connect with you, because I know you have a vibrant Facebook group. You're constantly doing free workshops that just provide so much wisdom and knowledge. And I definitely want you to share any links afterwards, so that women can find your website, find your supplements, because my goodness, you have done the work. And so I'm a big believer and a fan, as you know. And along the way, we're also going to talk about you not only being a business owner, but also a mother and a wife, and finding that balance, because I know that that's been a part of your journey that you can speak to. And so many of the women in this group struggle with that. I myself, have struggled with that quite a bit. And it's a part of my business as well, of how can we, and what are the different ways, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, that we can find this place of flow, right? And I know that you've worked so hard on that, so I definitely want to speak to that. But before we get to that, the big question that I always ask women in this interview is about being fierce, right? Showing up fiercely for yourself in your life. And we do this in small ways, we do this in big ways. And so I'd love to ask you if you can share with us a time, either recently or in the past, that you felt like you really showed up for yourself in a fierce way. And we can start talking about that.
sure. One that comes up as a kind of recent memory is, building any company in the world is such a spiritual journey. To me,
Yes.
entrepreneur really matters to me. So I went to business school. Is starting a business is great. It provides income and resources, but in my case, it has to be something that I love, that I'm passionate about, or I just will not hang in there.
Yeah.
And so I created Fusionary 6 years ago. I remember I sat on my friend's couch up in Jacksonville. Her name's Ragda. She's an incredible priestess, spiritual, shamanic work and studies. And I remember, and this was before she did a lot of that work, but she was a yoga teacher. She was in that vein. And I remember saying, Ragda, I want to do this thing. I want to impact the world. I want to change the world, but I have a 1 year old. And so this is going to create such massive imbalance. And I know myself, I have to take care of my immune system. I have to take care of my health. I have to do self care and exercise, or I just go downhill fast. What do I do? Like, how do I make this decision? And I remember her looking at me and she said, Shivani, I've known you for years now. Want to do something, you do it. And when you dream something up, you're gonna do it. You're gonna dream up something and you're gonna do it anyway. Yeah, you gotta balance big and bad. To have a 1 year old and start a company, of course, in your mind, sounds insane because you want to have this organic, conscious pregnancy and this organic, idealistic motherhood. But if the opportunity has presented itself for you and it's something you really want to grab hold of, go through the journey knowing that you're going to be out of balance, but
Yeah.
knowing that of this life journey, you're not going to regret it because you chose to step up and choose this thing that you crave so much. And so I always took that message and I did it. I jumped, I created Visionary. It was so rough. It was not as easy as I thought. It's never some beautiful yellow brick road to
Right.
winning, so much more tumultuous. And a year later, I remember a consultant sitting down with me and saying, you need to learn to get on camera. You need to go sell your own products to doctors. This is all on you. And I sat there and I had such a crisis of conscience, and I was like, quit. Like, this is not going to work
Mm,
based on me. And I remember her saying, you need to have faith in yourself. You need to learn the skills,
mm,
build the skill set, and do it. And so that's where I really kind of dug deep and said, okay, who are the coaches I need to hire? What are the resources I need? What is the personal development I need? And that really turned around my whole life journey. I got into the gym I go to that builds my energy. I went to a Tony Robbins conference to turn around my mindset.
yeah.
I saw in Miami as my coach, and I joined her program for years. So that consistent commitment to myself turned the ship around. But I look back now and I laugh, because if I had quit, imagine I wouldn't get to do this thing that is me living in my dharma. Like, I'm,
Right.
people pronounce it dharma, but this is my life's purpose. I just had to hang in. And so I find sometimes that fierce moment is really us just digging deep and realizing we have it in us. We have the ability,
Yes.
have the tools, we have the love. We just have to stick with it and be consistent enough to cross our finish lines.
Yes. And I see that in you so much, the consistency. In fact, you're such an inspiration for me. And I'll share with the world that even just in preparing for this conversation, you texted me and you said, do you have any artwork to share about this fierce conversation? And mind you, for the ladies who have their flow roadmap, you'll understand that I'm in my dream year. So I am not really, I am being consistent. And you pointed that out to me. And I totally like honor that. And I soaked it in and patted myself on the back. I am being consistent, but I'm really in this dreamy flow state, which means, sometimes I'll think about doing artwork. Sometimes I won't, right? But you planted that seed, and I created the artwork for you to promote this fierce conversation. And guess what? Now I have it. And now I will do it for every other fierce conversation after today. So there's so much to be said about consistency. And gosh, it does help, ladies, right? Like, I'm noticing it even in this year, which is a dream year for me, where I have to provide myself with the flexibility. Flexibility does work with consistency, right? And so part of that flow is like, what are the 1 to 2 things that you are going to do consistently to support yourself, to support your business, to get you to that next level while you've got the freedom, while you can shift easily, while you're nurturing yourself, you know? And so going back to something you said, which I think is key, spirituality can be defined in so many different ways. And one of the ways that you defined it was building a business is spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then you tied that to passion. And some of us don't realize that as women, choosing to live our dharma, right? Choosing to step into something fiercely because of our passion, because of our purpose, is us walking down that yellow brick road that is our spirituality, right? So, wow, like what a concept. Because sometimes we think, oh, being spiritual is I got to pray every day, I got to do ritual every day. And yes, that's part of it if you want it to be. But for many of us, being fierce and living our passion is spirituality, you know?
Yeah, stepping up as a leader. You know, my spiritual practice, I'm with you on the same spiritual journey, doing priestess path and all these incredible things. And yeah, I would love to remember to meditate every day, and I'd love to do yoga every day, and I'd love to soak in that. And occasionally I do. I invest the
Mm-hmm.
time with you ladies and get to do that. But a lot of times it's how am I, have I
Yeah.
done the it takes to just show up kind, to show up as a leader. Today I talked to someone on my team and I said, I'm getting a vibe that you're going to leave me. What do I have to do to keep you? And he goes, no, actually, I love working for you. This is awesome. Everything's great. But thank you for being a leader and being honest and open and being willing to troubleshoot if that was going to happen. And I thought, wow, like I've grown. He's grown. This is going to move forward beautifully. So it's almost like the love and depth to which we can evolve in our relationships,
Mm.
big key to our spiritual journey. There's relationship to self, there's relationship to universe, there's relationship in our personal lives. I'm constantly working on how's my marriage, how are my kids, how's my relationship with my family, my in-laws are
Yeah.
my family here. But also those who work with you are your work family.
Yes.
And so how are you bringing yourself to that table to honor those things as well? And so even this week, I sat down with myself and I said, you need self-care. If you
Yeah.
had a client doing all the things you're doing right now, your prescription would be top level self-care. Please make the time. And I did. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, I have the 30,000-foot view again of my business, of my projects, of my endeavors, of the impact I want in the world, of my kids.
Yes.
I differently. And so that's why I teach tea time is me time and self-care. I'm like,
Yes.
we need it so bad. We just need to remember to give it to ourselves as a gift and not another thing on the list of things to do.
Yeah. And that's really fierce, right? When I think of fierce, I think of um, owning our work, walking the talk, being within integrity. It's so important because the more we, especially in these types of platforms, right, where you're speaking a lot, I'm speaking a lot, we're sharing our tips and resources, the wisdom that we've taught and that we've taught ourselves and learned for years and years, and now sharing that with others. If you're not in integrity, like that is the first thing that your body is going to sense that will take you out of this space of, you know, of health and wellness and groundedness, right, that we're all seeking. So I have found that to be the case. I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about leadership a little bit more, and then also about how you are really finding that balance, being a mom, business owner. You've got little ones at home, and also, you know, as a committed wife to your husband and to that the growth of that relationship. So you said at the beginning, I chose to be out of balance, and that is so powerful, right? Because when you do start a business, anyone out there who's watching this knows, if you've started a business, yeah, it's not all pretty. It's not pretty and pink with bows, you know, and easy.
Yeah.
You are choosing to be out of balance, but I think even that in and of itself, making that conscious decision to play that game of life, of choosing to be out of balance, is super fierce. So in the context of leadership, when along the journey did you finally realize I'm really showing up as a leader right now?
Mm.
When did that happen for you, and what was the shift that you made to step into that leadership for yourself?
You know, in Fusionary, I always had vendors. It's a small company. And so I had, you know, designers and web people and all sorts of people, but they all lived in their own offices and homes, wherever. And I never had a real office with my own team. And so
Yeah.
last I got an office space because we were taking so much inventory in and it didn't make sense to not manage it properly. So I had an office space with inventory, and Maria, who had been managing just social media for me for years, decided to join me full time. And
Awesome.
I tell you, and she's working with me on, I would say, half her time and half the time on another project that I manage. So just the momentum of us physically being in the same space changed the entire dynamic, because now we are, what is that word? We keep each other on track. We
Yes.
accountable to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just say, oh, well, I booked, you know, a facial and whatever, and I've got the kids. If I want her to work and show up, and I want to work and show up, and we both want to get to a certain finish line and goal, the energy is happening so much better to not work from home and to be in a space like that. So I would say the biggest change to me was she having a real person who works for me forced me.
Mm.
I'm already someone who loves everyone I work with. If I, you know, my graphic designer, I've been with for 12, 15 years now.
Yeah.
So I work with, I'm able to build that relationship, maintain it, love them, they love me, and we keep that. But it's a very different energy to be in person. And then I hired one more person for an external marketing, and that's who I was talking to today. So I have a team of two locally, and we meet and we do all the things, but I want to be an extraordinary leader who's
Mm-hmm.
for creating this. It's not even an entity. I think of Fusionary as a baby, but I created this being, this entity, this energy ball that impacts the world. And I get to do it with an amazing team, but they have to vibrate at the level
Yes.
of what I've created, or we're not going to get to jointly go share that with the world the way I intend. So
Yes.
if fusionary to me is my act of love and my act of service, and my turmeric is meant to heal, I need everyone on board with that mission and that feeling. I honestly have to keep them healthy too. A big concern of mine is if we're all too stressed, we're not going to be doing enough self-care and staying healthy for this journey, for our longevity. So I really look at it as my client is the most important, obviously we want impact, but we too have to stay healthy and happy on this journey.
Yes. I love it. I love it. The impression I got as you were speaking, you know, one of the things, we have many things in common, but one of the things that we have in common is our love of ancient wisdom, right? And so what first got me into the field of astrology was the five elements, you know, 9-star key astrology and Chinese space reading, which was all about the five elements and recognizing people's elements by looking at their face. And because of that, recognizing when certain things were off with their health, you know, and but it got me thinking about the elements and how they start and how they finish, right? And so we start with water. Water is really the baby in the embryo before it's born. It's that potential. It's the creation of the product, you know, and now you have given birth to this baby, you know, and now through allowing yourself, which is I think one of the hardest things for entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, especially even for myself, is to get to that point where you're willing to allow the baby to become a toddler. And the only way that that can really happen is, number one, a commitment to growth, because not everybody wants to grow, and it's okay. You just have to know whether you want to grow and create an impact or not, or you want to stay small. And secondly, get help. Get help and
Yes.
bring in the right people, like you said, who are vibrating at the right energy that you are, and the mission and vision of this company, right? And so now you're at that, what I would call the wood phase, where the
Yeah.
baby is now crawling and excited and growing. And then eventually you're going to take it into massive growth, massive roots growing down into the earth, right? With the earth phase. And then finally into the metal phase, which is, wow, look at how I've taken it from this inception to this massive vision where I've created this legacy that I can now
True.
leave to my family, right? And that's when we end up in the metal phase. So I just really got this nice picture of you talking about, you know, what leadership is for you. And
Yeah, think it takes so many tools at different phases and times to keep you in. So
yeah,
that's why I'm with you, because you have human design as a tool, you have feng shui as a tool, you've got astrology as a tool. As an Indian woman, we are big fans of astrology. We're
yeah.
huge power of astrology. So I do my astrological reading annually. It was fascinating to learn my human design. I was like, oh, more allowing leads to more manifesting and success. That's actually really hard for me.
Yeah.
Really hard. Like it's not my mode. My mode is what's my list of
Go.
things? Keep going. Let's keep going. And then I'm like, you can have a glass of wine and chill for 1 hour.
Well, and didn't we realize that in your human design, that it was so clear that your human design, you have so much energy to give. You're here to work. You're here to work, you're here to create, you're here to give. And yet, because that generator is going boom, 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 now you have to sit back and do your tea time, take your supplements, go in the tub by yourself and say goodbye to the world. I'm taking some time for me. So it's like so perfectly aligned. I love it when I give a reading, whether it's astrology or tarot or human design, and we see that you're living it, that you're
Right?
already so conscious of it,
Sure.
and allowing it to help you, you know, in your business and in your life. So I love it. In that vein, let's talk a little bit about the kids, about the spouse. Like, how are you doing it all, Shivani?
You know, I consider it push and pull. And
Mm-hmm.
so as an Ayurvedic practitioner, there's seasons. And so I have
Yes.
divided my seasons. I know that as a Pitta person, I am meant to stay cool in the summer. I'm meant to drop down the pace in the summer. But as a Pitta, I also can leverage my other seasons and work twice as hard in other ones. So I don't tell everyone it's my dosha and that's why I'm doing it, but I tell people, look, kids are off in the summer, expect less from me. We're on a different schedule, a different mode. And then the rest of the school year, we all have to let Shivani work at race pace. And I do love the holidays, and I've forgiven myself for being such a party girl. And I used to say, you know what, you can't be a serious entrepreneur and love hosting parties. And I've decided that there's no either or. It's always both and. That's what we've learned with,
Yes.
right? Both
With
and.
priestess, both and.
And I epic Diwalis and Christmases. So I also know that I'm kind of distracted from November through December, but that's my time to have joy, serve. I live amongst my in-laws. There's 45 of us at all those holiday gatherings, and I love to host them. So it's one of those things where if you know your seasons, you know your strengths, and
Yes.
then or you know how much team you need to get through, then really your job, the way I look at it is, how do I keep everyone the happiest and everyone the healthiest in all of my roles? Family and personal is one big role, and business and impacting the world is another big role. How do I keep everyone healthy and happy, but there must be team in both? And so I believe in team across the board, whether it's a housekeeper, a nanny, the right vendors who you love on, all the vendors who manage my house with me, whether it's landscaper or pool guy, I appreciate on them. So I main job is love on team and love on my main shareholders. My biggest, shareholder is my husband and children. That's who I owe my time, energy, and love to in the end, above anything else that I do. But it's tough for me when there's intersection points, like kids meets business, and it has to happen at the exact same time.
Right.
And that's where I always find a push and a pull, and you have to decide who gets your time. But you know what? It goes a little this way and a little this way. And I just try to assign it like in 2-week periods. Or
Right.
I soak up the joy when you can, because life is going to suck the joy at some point for a period of time. And you're going to have to be looking forward to when you're going to soak up the joy again.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to an epic trip, and I'm like, okay, I'm working hard, I'm exhausted and overwhelmed, but that thing is coming, that shiny ball that I want. With my kids, they're aging, they're growing up, and I'm finding it to be it's a whole different ball game.
It is.
As they
Yeah.
not, here's your sippy cup, you're fine, go to school. It's feelings and emotions and a lot of things that I don't feel qualified to manage, but I'm stumbling through, and I'm trying to love on them and support them as much as I can, knowing full well, like I think I was anxious for a while that, okay, I'm gonna maybe not succeed in the business, and then by sacrificing all my time and energy in the business, what if I don't put the time in the kids? And later they're gonna come back to me and say, I'm in therapy because you were the
You, mom. It's because of you I'm in therapy, mom.
release that thought and really acknowledge that, look, I am here to do my best. I'm here to love the maximum I can, but that is all going to be rooted from self-care.
Yes.
It's self-love and self-care. That's the foundation. I have to be Mother Earth energy. And do I know I'm Mother Earth energy? So I align to it all the time. I'm in yoga and I'm like, yes, Mother Earth. Because I know those truths about me now, and
Sure.
things confident in a lot of those truths. I'm like, okay, you know what? We can't always run everywhere. I'm not
No.
my dosha. That's not one of the energies that primarily runs me around. So I'm going to stay focused. Kids get priority this week, then work doesn't. Okay, work gets priority for 2 weeks. Everyone else has to be patient
Yeah.
with.
I
And I
love
just
it.
flow like that
Yeah.
all.
And give yourself permission to flow. There's a lot there that you said. First of all, I'm like Team Gupta. That's it. You're Team Gupta. And yes, knowing yourself, I think, is so important. And that's why we use a lot of these tools, right? There are many people who haven't had the opportunity to really understand themselves. It doesn't matter what age they are. They're like, I still don't know myself well enough. I don't know what my passion is. I don't know what my purpose is. And that's where some of these tools, whether it's a flow roadmap or astrology or human design, can really help give you permission to listen to your intuition, to listen
Absolutely.
to your body, your soul telling you, hey, go this way, think about this, right? And so it's validation. What these tools give us is permission and validation to step into our lives fully and honor who we are. And we know about you in doing the flow roadmap that you're triple Mother Earth. You're triple Earth energy. And so, of course, you would say things like, I need to nurture and love my children, and we're a team and we're a family, because that's how it's going to feel good for you, especially when the going gets tough and you have to find that balance and you have to create some boundaries. You know, I think, and you may agree, that in today's day and age, we give a lot of our attention to our kids, you know, probably more than our parents gave to us, because they just had a different life, you know.
Yeah.
And we had to be on our own a lot, and we had to, you know, learn how to live and do things without constant attention. And so our kids are very lucky that they have constant attention, and we can go, you know, put a band-aid on that boo-boo immediately, instead of letting them figure out how to do it. And it's those moments that, I know this week it happened to me, where my daughter wasn't feeling good, and I let her stay home from school a couple of days, because I believe in self-care. I believe that she needs to rest. I believe she's overworking herself. And yet there's also a moment where, guess what? Mommy's got to work today. Today, mommy
Yeah.
can't take a few hours off. I could yesterday. Today, I can't. So guess what, honey? You are going to school. Here's what you need. You know how to take care of yourself. I believe in you. I know that you can take care of yourself, and you got this. You're resilient. You're resilient. So go work your resiliency. And we just have to trust that they're going to figure it out, you know? And so creating those boundaries as well, you know?
And I really believe in creating children who are independent, intelligent, strong, risk takers, confident, kind. And so where before I was one of those moms who just
Yeah.
everything at all moments, I'm practicing. It's like a conscious practice to say, you've got this.
Yeah.
Do that. You can handle that. And so it's
Yeah.
awkward. My inclination is to do everything for them.
Sure.
I'm like, no, you need to build independence and that resiliency, or they're not going to have it. You know, I
They
think
won't. Yeah.
on this ownership, I had to build it myself. No
Yeah.
one expected me out of my family to be the one to hang in for 6 years like this and keep pushing and all the things I do. If you ask my parents, they would not have expected it to go this way.
Right.
And sometimes they're like, why haven't you quit yet? What are you doing? And I'm like, guys, that's not the right message.
I'm living my dharma, Mom.
Exactly. It's going to take a while, but that's not for me to judge. I didn't get to predestine that piece. I was just predestined to come here and do this. So I have to keep the faith. That's where I think the tools help the most, is when you have faith, you stay in. You do self-care, you stay in. You don't burn out. You don't fall out of these things. You don't jump out of these things.
So thank you. I can talk to you for hours, but we're going to start wrapping it up. I've noticed that these conversations at 30 minutes are just not long enough, so I'm letting them go longer. And I think there's just so much value to share. By the way, as you were speaking, I heard the book, like, you know, Family Boardroom, by the way, in case you ever want to use that. I'm like, you know, that there's so much there about building this team of family and this boardroom. I'm like, oh, this is like what Shivani's doing. I want to wrap up by talking about just a little bit about ritual, because so much of what I believe in, what I want to teach, you know, women in particular, is the small little things we can do ritualistically every day to support ourselves, whether they're very woo-woo or very practical. It doesn't matter. It's about creating our own definition of what spirituality means to us, and creating the space to make that happen for us. So along your journey as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a wife, community leader, all of these things that you do, where has spirituality come into play, and what are just a couple of the things that you do every single day religiously from a spiritual perspective that really has supported you?
Sure. You know, I was born into a Hindu family, and so we always believed in Hinduism, studied it. My family didn't believe in like as much of the deity worship, but more in the spiritual study.
Yeah.
And so I went to Sunday school for it growing up, and had this understanding of, we're all here on our journey. We're all do good things. We're all here to release as much karma as we can, do good and have good karma in the world. And one day, you know, have that spiritual bliss moment. It's been interesting because I think motherhood is such a spiritual journey where you understand who you are and what you're about, and that mama bear comes out. What I find challenging is simultaneously it's so stressful and tough in this modern day world, that you then have to dig deeper and find, okay, how am I going to get through this? So for me, self-care in all of its forms became so important.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in taking time every month for chiropractic, acupuncture, whatever healing modalities you need. I call that the radical self-care category because it has more of a cost and time commitment to it.
Yeah.
Then someone who studied Ayurvedic self-care. So I did my master's in Ayurvedic sciences. And I remember in the classes, I was studying it and I was like, this is awesome. No one has time for this. Who's going to sit there and make tea out of herbs and spices all this oil massaging to themselves? You guys are crazy. I'm a mom. And then I remember when I finished, I wrote a book and then I started doing more talks around the city. And the first book was on pregnancy. Now I talk more generally on Ayurveda. But I remember lecturing on Ayurvedic self-care. And finally I was like, you have to practice all of it. You cannot just teach something out of a textbook, but you haven't figured out how to operationalize this one into your life. So I started doing it. I did the tongue scraping. That was a huge one. I love tongue scraping as a ritual. So you can order a copper tongue scraper off Amazon or anywhere. And we recommend scraping the tongue 7 to 14 times gently. Don't make yourself gag. And what it does is the tongue reflects all the organs of the body. And so you will get to detox all the organs of the body. And this little health hack from Ayurveda takes like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And bucks to buy the tongue scraper. So to me, it's like the easiest way to teach an Ayurvedic ritual. You attach it to brushing your teeth. So it's an easy habit to adopt. But it's a first reminder. We all brush our teeth first in the morning within the first 3 things we probably do.
Yep.
So because you did that, it's your first message to yourself. I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
It anchors that message in. It's a good stepping stone to the rest. So I'll do tongue scraper and then I'm like, well, I could make sure I put a serum on under my cream. That would be nice to do for myself. Yes. Running out the door, I could make myself a water bottle so I could hydrate today in addition to all the tea I'm going to consume.
Yes.
So it's about what are all the little self-care acts I can do throughout the day that reaffirm to me, I matter too. I am the center of my universe. I am here to serve, but I count too in this equation.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite self-care ritual is tea time is me time because I find we have so much going on in our brains. Like by the time I have gotten downstairs in my own house, I've thought, I need to get that check signed. I need to do this. I need to do that. So I started keeping a Post-it in my bathroom because I get irritated that the minute I'm out the door, I've already forgotten those things. And they were important. And so it's a powerful reminder. When I do tea time is me time, I pause, I drink my tea, I sip my tea, I relish it, I enjoy it, and I ask myself, what do you need today? Mm-hmm. What do you need to do today for you to feel better? Have you managed your schedule in a way where you are going to be okay? Yeah. It's a silly question, but if you actually ask yourself the question, you might occasionally catch the fact that you didn't set yourself up to be a happy, healthy human.
Yeah, and I think that really goes back to if you're not putting yourself first, which is so hard for women to do in particular, and you are not there for yourself, it's really impossible to truly be there for anyone else, right? So that in and of itself. And do you do that tea time practice in the morning? Is that one of your morning practices or throughout the day?
I do it at 7 when I'm driving the kids to school, 7:30.
Okay.
Car, mommy's checking in with herself. And then all of a sudden the tea is done. I'm like, hey guys, how are you?
Talk about finding flow, even in the presence of your kids, probably screaming, singing, whatever, and just totally being in tune with yourself. Like, what a gift. Oh my gosh. Well, you have been a gift today, Shivani.
I've told them, mommy needs quiet time. Mommy needs tea time. And then I respect that in them too. If they say, I'm in my room, okay. Like, let's learn each other's intuition. Let's learn to respect each other's needs. Let's learn to give each other quiet time. All these things matter. And so tea time is me time is one of my favorites. Tongue scraper is another one of my rituals I love. I do another one called Abhyang massage. Okay. So out of Ayurveda, taking some time, people typically take a bath, which is awesome. Yes. You can also just sit down on a towel and massage the whole body, neck down, with sesame oil. And it's
Mm.
feeling and it's so grounding. So I did that for myself 2 nights ago. I started at my toes, worked all the way up, took a shower, and it was like the whole world changed.
Oh
Like
my God.
I such perspective finally after a few weeks of just being on the rat race and running around on that hamster wheel. And so that's another self-care tool. It's in Ayurveda, we teach that it grounds your vata energy and
Okay.
drops that earth kapha energy so that then you're in your most centered and aligned space.
Mm. And so, question, because I just bought this for myself, a
Mhm.
dry brush.
Yes,
So, is it good to combine those two? Like maybe dry brush first and then do the sesame oil? Are you supposed to do that before you go into the tub or shower?
yes. So that's what I did this week. Like you need self-care and you don't have time for the radical self-care. You're going to do this for yourself in the house. So I put on like a face mask. I lay out a towel right outside of my bathroom. I had my dry brush and I had an Ayurvedic oil. It wasn't even sesame oil. I did neem
Okay.
oil, purifying, and I
Yes.
love. So then I did dry brushing. The goal of dry brushing is move the lymphatic system. It's going to move all the systems of the body. So it's a great detoxification ritual,
Okay.
which honestly, in a stressful world, I think we all need a lot of detoxing right now from
Yes.
the. So I sat there and dry brushed. Then I did my Abhyang massage. Then I got in the tub, Epsom salt bath, and read a book. And
Oh
then when I
gosh.
had an hour later, I was like, wow, I love my family. I love the world. I'm not overwhelmed by it. It's good. Hey,
Yeah.
goals will be achieved in their own time. It just totally shifted me. And these are really inexpensive, simple tools that
Yeah.
as women can choose to get off Netflix or off our Instagram. I myself love Instagram too much. Get off the things that we're spending our time on and spend it
Yeah.
on ourselves.
Oh, love it. That's a perfect way to wrap this up, because it's what you're all about, and that's what your gift is, to share this with the world, to give us permission to do this. So Shivani, tell us, and I want you, once this posts, to put some links in there as well. But if the ladies want to get connected with you, if there's anything you have coming up, your Facebook group, what do you want to share with the ladies who watch this today?
My main website is fusionaryformulas.com, Fusionary, and I'll post it. My Facebook group is called Natural Remedies for Vibrant Health. And so in there, I get to teach live, post all sorts of stuff on health and wellness to like-minded people. So it's not going out into the broader world. It's a much more targeted group of people
Yeah.
who know that we want to invest in our natural health and well-being. I have ShivaniGupta.com, my website. And then coming up in next week, actually, I'm teaching Fusionary School, which is my
Okay.
2 day class. So I'm going to be diving into gut health and autoimmune conditions and how to reset them
Ooh.
using Agni, our digestive fire, and using all the different health practices that Ayurveda has available to us. And then my Fusionary Method program, my 6-week program, will launch, I think, in 2 weeks now. And we're going to
Okay.
dive group with a detox and all the good things.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Goddess. And so just a couple of weeks ago, I did the April astrological forecast for the month, and I know you were there. And part of the mantra was creating our queendom, which I got from you, that word, queendom. And so thank you for giving us permission, Miss Shivani, to create this queendom of self-love, self-care, and just really, really creating a nourishing foundation for our lives, for our businesses, for our families. And so thank you. Grateful to you for being here today.
Thank you so much. I love that one.
I know, it's a great word. All right, my friend, I will catch you soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and catch you next time. Bye.
Okay.